What I carry most forward from my experience with the Academy is being able to tap into an extraordinary network of peer leaders and leaders who are in other positions nationwide.
It changed my approach to leadership and helping me recognize that I'm not this little striving self in pursuit of my own ego gratification, but that I'm a system that I can step outside of and observe.
And as Dean of Students, I'm on call 24 hours a day. And so to have the opportunity to reflect and pause and think about my own leadership has been compelling. I have a PhD in leadership. So I didn't need that, but I needed the space to think about adaptive challenges differently, and the space to think about my leadership, and most importantly, the space to think about my calling.
What I carry forward from here is that there's different levels of leadership, is that they teach you that there's level 1, level 2, level 3, and that you don't always have to ascend to one or the other. It's by situation. And so sometimes when I used to try to think of the best way to handle something, I refer back to this doesn't require this level yet. Let me just simmer down and do this level, and it's helpful because it doesn't feel like you're failing at leadership. It feels like you're really excelling in that space.
The most helpful, I think, is the learning circle that we are putting in. We have 4 or 5 people in the same group, and we kept in touch after the program, and we share learning experiences.
Academia tends to live in silos. So for instance, I am in the College of Business, I am in Information Systems, and I do healthcare management and informatics. That's my identity. I almost never cross over to see somebody in arts or education or policy unless I have a business talking to them. But this kind of brought those different perspectives together on one platform. So as you grow in leadership and as you grow from your college or your discipline higher up to be leading a whole university, which is not necessarily just your discipline or your students or your people, it's important to understand those diverse perspectives and the challenges that come with that so you can better serve the ecosystem as you're growing in that.
I think the beauty of it is that you start to see the threads, right? We are in the same industry, even though it looks different, there are contextual differences, and so you start to see the threads in terms of challenges, but also opportunities. And then you start to dream about, okay, what would it look like if I can take this good idea and put it together across our different silos, and then you maintain those relationships, right? Then you have a safe space. So when you go back to your institution and some of the things sound crazy because people haven't been through this experience, you have a cohort of safe people to go to and kind of re-engage, vent if you need to, but kind of reground yourself in some of the things that we learned here.
Oddly enough, when I applied for the program, I was the Associate Provost for Faculty Affairs. And by the time I was accepted and started the program, I was the interim provost. And so a huge jump in responsibility and leadership. And so it was instrumental for me in those first months of my new role.
The Academy for me was an opportunity to learn broadly about higher education and to broaden my approach, not just thinking about the particular institution, but the impact that we can have nationally, even globally.
The Academy really made me take a step back and think about not just your institution, but really think about how this is going to help the whole higher ed. So that was the first thing which changed. Is like, coming from an engineering discipline, you always think about your own silos. So it really made me think like, what can I do better? So like my project in the Leadership Academy was, how do you build a better HBCU partnership? And this in 2021, when I was going through this, was really big thing for whole institute because we have not a single institution which is R1 from HBCU. So I wanted to see like why this is there. We have such an amazing leadership across campus at HBCU. Why we are not able to make that change? And that has really changed the way Georgia Tech really looks about HBCU partnership right now.
And what I'm most amazed about is at first they got to see their other cohort members, but within hours, within minutes in fact, they started to make these connections across cohorts, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. Because the changes that have to happen in higher ed really have to happen at a much broader system level. You could change your institution, great, you could change the institutions within your state, but to really have the change that we needed, it has to start across institutions, and that was the goal of this gathering for the Academy.
You don't have to see each other every day to be in community, to share friendship. And I think being in this space together, not just our cohort, is also a good reminder of just how special the opportunity is, right?
I feel like we've not only leaned on each other as leaders and grappled with the questions of our work, the needs of higher education, the ever-changing landscape, and the context and the content of our work, but we've also, I think, leaned on each other and the personal challenges that we face in our work, and we've grown to be friends and developed our relationships with one another.